All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. I want to give you a couple thoughts on this shooting that happened a few days ago in Colorado. I haven't, come here and share anything about that. To tell you the truth, I'm kind of in a new schedule right now. I'm recording like once a week, and I've been trying to take a step back from YouTube. So at one point, what I do is that I record all my videos and kind of take a step back because a lot of times this right here can consume you and it just becomes too much. So again, I wanted to share a couple thoughts about this now that I'm recording today. And obviously you guys share what you guys got to share down in the comments section below. Before I get into anything, anything about it, it's just sad what happened. The real victims are the people that die and their families, and everybody else is kind of like trying to pass their agenda or sharing comments or sharing information or getting into debates and fights over things that you just can't really control no more, right? The real victims is the families and people that die. And check it out, we got to pray for them. Now, the left would tell you that prayers don't work. I disagree with that. I think prayers work big time, and I think it's important for us to pray that the families find patience, to deal with all the things that are happening right now, to find comfort on families and friends that may be there for them, to find love and to find forgiveness, because you know what, things like this will consume you, and you could just live a life of depression and live a life of just sadness your entire life and things like that, right? To find a way out of this crazy situation, because I'm gonna tell you, it's pretty insane what happened. And it's gonna be difficult. And the devil's gonna attack them. The devil's gonna be all over this. The devil's gonna, use his little demons to attack these families and stuff like that. So we gotta be in prayer, because there's another fight that is happening, and it's not here. There's another place where there's another fight happening, and we gotta pray for protection. But here's the thing: as I see this, I was pretty astonished. Some of the things that I saw out of this situation, really astonished. And again, you guys share some of the comments down below. But the first day, it was all about the white men. And if you go into Twitter, Twitter is pretty disgusting. But if you go into there, all you see was an attack against the white men. And this is something that just happened recently in the last couple years, where white people are being attacked. It's pretty racist if you ask me. But obviously, if you're white, which, sometimes I get attacked. I'm Hispanic, born in Cuba, raised in Cuba until the age of 14. English is actually my second language, but I get attacked like, I'm a white man. But if I see what's happening, I think it's pretty racist what the media and what a lot of people are doing against white people. And when they use terms like generalize everyone, it's actually pretty offensive. And the crazy thing about this is, I've been talking about this for quite some time, is that if you say something, then they call you racist. So this is an argument that you won't win. This is an argument that either they scream at you and they demand and you accept it, because if you don't, then you are a racist. And it's pretty disgusting when you find yourself in those kind of arguments, and it's really not a fair debate, right? So again, when the shooting happened, everyone was like, well, the white man did it. Because generally speaking, the white man is the one that does this after shooter situations, right? And generally speaking, it's just the white man. So it must have been the white man. And Twitter was crazy going around this. It was just one of those things that it was constantly. And then what happened? Comes to find out that the guy happens not to be white, happened to be a Muslim, happened to kill 10 white people. And what happened? Silence. Now they're apologizing. I cannot tell you how many tweets I read where somebody says, I like to ask for forgiveness, or however they type those, messages or tweets, and saying, I like to ask for forgiveness. What happened? I assumed this, I assumed that. And you know what? Now I erased my tweet from last night. Whoa. Okay, wait a minute. wait a minute, this hypocrisy, because if somebody kills somebody and I assume that that person is a minority, let's face it, the higher crime or minorities being killed is not the white man, it's minority or minority crime. So if I assume that the guy is a minority, then it's racist. But if you assume that the shooter was a white man, that's not racist, I guess. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. And then this is something that we're not going to win. This is something that is going to continue to happen. And this is something that there is no end to this, because the simple fact that we are entering a season in our life where what is wrong is right and what is right is wrong. You see that in the Bible. The Bible speaks about that. So when you start identifying things that are wrong as right, there's always going to be like horrific situations. Right? Horrific things, right? So now they're not talking about it because this guy happened to be a Muslim, which killed 10 white guys. So you would think that the media will continue to run with this story, saying, hey, just as we expected, it was a hate crime. And what happened was that a Muslim attacked 10 white people. No. They won't talk about that. Really? They won't talk about that because they don't want to talk about that. It's not the agenda that they want to push. And to me, quite frankly, I'm going to tell you, it's pretty sad. It's very, very sad. I wrote some notes here to say, just to speak about a couple things, because obviously as it started, first of all, there's a couple things that I want to share as it started. Obviously, as we know, he used an AR pistol and he had a brace. But as you see the media, they talk about this as like it was highly modified, like a modified weapon. It was not a modified weapon. It had a brace. That's it. That will be like an AR-15 has a stock, has handguard, has front sights. Is that a modified weapon? As far as I know, what I'm seeing so far from the news, it's not modified. It just had a brace. Done deal. AR-15 pistol with a brace. How is it modified? I don't get that. It's the same thing when they say higher capacity magazine. A magazine that standard capacity is 30 rounds is standard capacity. It's not a higher capacity. But you have to understand the keywords that they're using in here, because as they put these keywords, is meant for one simple reason: to scare the civilians, to scare the population that have no idea what it is. When you have somebody that have no idea on firearm and you hear modified weapon, you automatically make an opinion about that. Well, we don't want to have these modified weapons in the streets. I remember a story from a guy that I used to work with, and he told me to explain to him. He knew about guns, but really not ARs or anything like that, more like pistols. And he tried to not try, but he asked me, he said, Fabian, I want you to explain me what an AR-15 does and how does it shoot? So I explained him what a semi-automatic weapon was. You pull the trigger once and one round gets deployed. And when I was done with the explanation, he looked at me and said, whoa, just like my pistol. It works just like a pistol. And I said, yeah, pretty much. It's the same concept as a pistol. And he was like, oh, wow, that was really not his understanding of what the firearm did. Why? Because the media is in the business of terrifying people. Because the more that we scare you, the more that we separate you, the more that we make, team A versus B, is the more money that they make. CNN ratings, as I heard in the last couple of days, is going down. Why? Because Mr. Trump is not there no more. So now no one wants to watch the news. So now they got to come out with new things. It's always like that. The media always has to come out with new things in order to terrify you for you to buy, tickets to the show. So again, the real victims here are the people that actually die. Those are the victims here. Everybody else is trying to push an agenda, and they're trying to push an agenda on things that they just don't know, or things that they just want to push because it's their agenda. Now, let's think about this. Let me kind of tell you, in my opinion, I'm not an expert by no means, or at least I'm not claiming to be an expert here on YouTube. But this is not a simple incident. So I'm going to explain you kind of like the simple thing that will happen between, a situation, a crime that will happen versus the crime that happened in Colorado, right? So again, in a regular crime, let's say, for example, an individual goes out and gets into a fight and happens to shoot somebody. horrific situation. Somebody would die, obviously, right? And it would be just a horrific situation. Same thing will be something related for, I don't know, maybe control. Gangs, they fight all the time. They're trying to control a block or something like that. They shoot at each other, right? That's a little bit more escalated. And now you have this situation where it's a situation where they are planning to conduct an attack. This is not an attack such as you went to a bar and you got into an argument. And again, by getting into that argument, resulting on you fighting, resulting in you having an assault charge, resulting on you maybe punching somebody, stabbing somebody, shooting somebody. This is not that. This is an attack. So when you look at an attack, you have to look at it different as a situation that could have been like a fight at a bar, right? You have to look at it in a different way because this guy, what he is a soldier. So, I like to explain it this way because people don't get that. Now, let's think about this. By no means I'm comparing our troops to terrorists. This guy is a terrorist. I won't mention his name. And we should, make sure that he goes, whatever the law goes to him for a long time, because this guy is a piece of crap. I mean, I have no words. I try to stay away from cursing, Now, I'm not a saint by no means, but I mean, this guy is the worst of the worst. But I want to show you kind of like a difference so some of you guys understand. A soldier, a Marine, prepares for combat and gets whatever he needs to in order to accomplish the mission. Whatever he needs to prior to the mission. So if he needs fuel, water, food, all that, he will make sure to have those things, right? The same thing with these people. This is not an argument that happened based on, again, a bar fight. This guy went to commit a terrorist attack. This guy went there with the purpose of killing people, and he prepared himself to do that. So why do I say all these things? It's simple. No matter what laws you put in place, it's not going to stop this guy. There is nothing that will stop this guy from committing what he's going to commit unless there is a good guy there waiting to stop him. That's it. There's no law that will be put in place in order to stop this guy. I need these people to understand this because apparently they are lawyers, they have PhDs, they have college degrees, they run for Congress, but they don't get the fact that there is nothing, no law that will put in place, that you could put in place to stop this guy from trying to commit this attack. First of all, murder is illegal. Lying in a form to buy a firearm is illegal. Shooting at people is illegal. So again, people don't get this. So you want to make another law to stop a criminal that is not going to follow the law or is going to follow the law in order to commit his attack. So here's my point. I want to kind of wrap this up with my point. Congress is already calling for gun control. It's already doing it, and it's sad to see this. But let's say, for example, that you put in place a law. What is going to happen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, no law will stop this kind of people from committing this attack. None of them. Because I'm going to take it back to the point that I just said. This guy is in a way, he's ready to commit an attack, so he will wait. I'll give you an example. I'm pretty sure he bought his gun legally. So, do you think it's not illegal to shoot at people? It is illegal. Murder is illegal to kill people. So he went to the store and he bought a gun and he waited whatever he had to do in order to get that gun. There was a couple in California, which happened to be Muslim too, several years ago. I can't believe how many people they killed, but they killed a bunch of people. And they waited. And I believe they waited 10 days. There was a guy in New York City, I believe, that rented a U-Haul about a year or so ago and killed people. And do you know that before he went out and killed people, he actually rented the Sen or a U-Haul and did a dry run? He actually drove around and practiced. So this shooter that we have here, this piece of crap, would have waited whatever it was. Let's say, for example, you have to wait 40 days to get a gun. he would have waited 40 days. Because this is something that is already thought, already planned, already put in place. Don't be surprised if he took a piece of paper and he wrote it down, how he was going to do it. Don't be surprised. I don't think that this is something that you just wake up and you do. This is something that they plan. That's why I gave you an example of how us, as military, we planned for an attack. Him, in his sick mind, he planned for this. So there is no law in place that you could put in place in order to stop this guy. Because first of all, he's not going to comply. If he has to do it illegally, he will buy a gun illegally and do it. But if he has the choice to do it legally, then he will follow the law, get the firearm, and do it. Now, if he doesn't have the ability to get a firearm, guess what he would do? He will use another way. There was a guy in France that used a garbage truck several years ago and killed an insane amount of people with a garbage truck. So, why? Because he couldn't get a gun, but he still planned. He still decided what was the day. He still decided, did all the planning and organized in order to do this and commit the attack. Because this is what people are not getting. This is not a shooting situation. This is not a bar fight. This is not something that just happened. This is an attack against our country. But the media, I don't know. Hopefully they cover this way. What we have here is a person that committed an attack against our country. This is domestic terrorist. This is a guy that, committed terrorist attack against our country. Terrorized the people of Colorado, terrorized family, terrorized the victim, and did horrific things. But what are they calling for? What are these politicians are calling? Gun control. Gun control to do what? What is gun control is going to do? As far as I know, the city where it happened had severe gun controls. Nothing happened. Do you know that in Chicago, I read it the same weekend where this shooting happened, I think there was about 20 people shot or 19, 4 people killed. There was reports coming in. Half of the people die in Chicago City, a city that is completely consumed by destruction. Man, if you live in Chicago and you're a good person, man, I feel bad for you. Run. I know it's hard. You have a job and all that, but run. If you can, run. And then already calling for gun control. Look at this. I want to show you this because this is insane when you see things like this. And again, you know what? My prayers go to these families. They really do. I cannot even imagine. How does it feel to be in their shoes. I can't even imagine this. I mean, Eric Talley, hopefully I say his name, police officer. Now, you know that this individual, this police officer, had a job making a lot of money or walked away from a job making so much money that it was ridiculous. You know why he did that? Because he wanted to serve his community. He really did. He walked away from a job that paid him a lot of money to be a police officer, to be harassed by groups like BLM, to be harassed by people that don't want to follow the law, to be harassed by politicians that call him names, especially the left, that makes their job difficult. This guy left that good job. Will you do it? Probably not. Left a good job to serve his community, and he was killed. He was the first police officer on scene. Just a very, very difficult situation. And this is what his father said, sir. I mean, I have no words. I really don't. It's so difficult. I couldn't even imagine if my son would be killed by a guy like this. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine. Anyways, here's what he says. My son will have been deeply offended to know his death will be used to promote gun control. Deeply offended. I'm going to tell you, some people say I love the Constitution. Many people say that. I'm gonna continue here. His quote says, before he was an officer, he enjoyed shooting. He was an about 11-year veteran who was among the 10 people that were killed this Monday. And let me just tell you this. People say this all the time. Oh, I love the Constitution. But when you hear people saying, I love the Second Amendment, to me, it's so impacting. Because you could love freedom of speech and all that. You could love some parts of the Constitution. But when you love the Second Amendment, it's like, wow. Because I'm going to tell you, the Second Amendment protects everything else. No Second Amendment, you have no Constitution. Take off the Second Amendment, erase the Constitution. Because those guns are the only thing that protect that Constitution. But here's what we got here. My son will have been deeply offended to know that his death will be used to promote gun control. And that's all that we're doing. All I saw on Twitter was people pulling the race card, saying that he was a white man. Guess what? He was not a white man. He is a person from Middle East, Syrian, who came to this country. Apparently, he was raised here in this country for the majority of the time. He had issues they're describing as being paranoid. Do you think that no one could have got that? In high school, apparently he assaulted people in high school or something. So again, he was not a good member of our society. He went and lied because the paperwork when you buy a firearm says things about, depression or says some stuff about that. So he probably lied about that. Who knows? I don't know. But again, he bought a gun legally, apparently. So many things are coming out. Today is, let's see what's today's day because everything changes by the day. Do your own research. March 29. And then what? He committed a horrific attack. And what is the answers to the public from politicians? Nothing. We need more gun control. We need to ban those guns. For what? What are banning these guns are going to do? They're going to do absolutely nothing. I call it a false sense of security. False sense of security. People are going to think they're safe, but they're not going to be safe. People will be killed. People will be attacked, and people will die because that is now the answer to protect our communities. That is now the answer. Because these people that are coming to this country to commit terrorist attack against our community, against our people, you know what? They don't care. They use whatever means they can in order to terrify the people. And you saw that in New York where the guy rented a car and killed people. That's what they're going to do. So that's now the answer. The answer is not more gun laws. Dear Lord, we know that we have a ton of gun laws every single day and they don't work. The answer is not more, background check. People are passing these background checks and still killing people. That's not the answer. I have an idea, The answer, and here's the thing that I'm going to say because I'm going long in this video. But as these people do this, as these guys commit these horrific attacks, they put us in the same category. And I'm going to tell you, I'm offended about that. Don't put me in the same category of this guy that came here to hurt people. I have several AR-15s. Don't put me in that category. I gave way too much for this country. I'm sitting here with something in my back just to put some pressure in my lower back because my back been killing me today serving this country. So don't put me in the same category. Don't put my brothers and sisters that watch my video here that have given so much for this country in the same category. We have answered the call when they have made the call. And guess what? At the end of the day, we ain't rich like some of these politicians. We ain't rich. Some of us are lucky enough to get a little bit of money from the VA. Lucky enough. Because God knows that the VA will try to screw you any second they have. So don't put us in the same category. Don't put us in a category of these people that are harassing and destroying our community. Many of us have answered the question to get that rifle and defend this country in the name of our Constitution and to protect the rights that American citizens have. We have done it. Raise your hand. And we do it so you out there have your silly, stupid opinions that we don't care about. But guess what? We still do it because we love freedom. And I love the fact that you could have your silly opinion. Either way, I hate when they put us in the same category. It's just sad. Don't put us in the same category because we are gun owners. We are responsible gun owners that love this country. But that's the only answer from the Democrats, gun control. That is not the answer. Definitely not the answer. I'm not saying I have the answer to every single problem that we have going on, but putting more gun laws and more background check and banning guns is not the answer to protect our community, because these people are here to commit terrorist attack against our community, and putting a gun law is not going to do anything. If we really want to protect our community, we got to go a different way, and that's not the way. Anyway, I spoke for about 25 minutes. Wow. Let me know what you think. Put comments down below. And as always, God is in control.